It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth.
What truth?
That you are a slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind.
Hello and welcome to another fine day in paradise. Today we're going to talk about colorism on the continent and what it could mean for you if you are a repat or if you're planning to visit the African continent. But first, I'm going to ask you to please like, subscribe, share and click the bell notification. So I'm not sure if you are aware, but I played basketball when I was younger. I played at pretty high level actually. So I played at Manhattan College for the Jaspers back in 1994. So a very long time. So in the late 1980s and up until the mid 90s, a dominant force in basketball came to light. And we all know this dominant force by the name Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was an absolute monster of the game. So if you follow basketball, even if you don't follow basketball, you will know his name. He is a household name. Michael Jordan was extremely dominant in the game. And it wasn't just his physical presence, because he wasn't that big of a basketball player. He was only 6'6". Which in basketball terms is not really that tall. He wasn't physically big, but what he had lacked in physical size, he had a lot more in his visual dominance on the court. So people knew who he was and knew what mentality he brought to the court every single time he played. He was extremely intense. Okay, so those who know basketball will know, right, that it's not a said thing. Not everybody knows this, but Michael Jordan used to have a thing about bullying white people. He used to bully white people. He used to bully white people on the courts. He used to bully a lot of people on the courts, but he used to especially bully white people on the basketball court, and he would do this regularly. Okay, it was part of his game, and we all thought, okay, then he's just like that, okay, you know, and then stories started to surface that he would also bully his white teammates as well. So he would do this regularly, and he would do this all the time. Okay, so he would even end up punching some of his white teammates. And this happened more than one time, and it was normal because he was such a powerful figure within the Chicago camp that no one would dare, not even the coach would dare talk over him or talk back to him. Okay, so that's who Michael Jordan was. Now, what's less known is that Michael Jordan wasn't just more than likely racist against white people. He was highly likely colorist as well. He didn't get along with teammates who were of the lighter persuasion. Okay, you need to look past Scottie Pippen. Okay, he was tight with Scottie Pippen, and he was much more older and a lot more mature when Dennis Rodman came in. He was also, for all intents and purposes, light-skinned. But Michael Jordan used to act the exact same way with white people as he did with light-skinned people as well. he used to go out of his way to say derogatory things about their skin colour. He used to say how they weren't as virile as us dark-skinned men on the court. He used to poke fun at them. He used to call them names. He used to say things like, you know, he would tell basketball players, hey, what are you doing? This was in practice, okay? So he wasn't talking about we're not just talking about his competitors, we're talking in practice. He's talking about his teammates. He used to be like, okay, what are you doing? Go up and you can't grab the basketball off the boards like that. You can't do that. You're grabbing that rebound like you're light-skinned. You shouldn't do that. You need to grab it with authority. You need to have more aggression down low. And he used to tell people stuff like that. Not a lot of people know this, but he was extremely biased towards his dark-skinned teammates. So he used to covet them somehow. Now, we all know that, let's be honest, you know, he was brought up, he went to university in racist North Carolina. We know what that place is like. He was in the Deep South, and so we know what Michael Jordan is like, you know. We know how he's been brought up, what culture he's been brought up, and he's done well to cover it up. But the point I'm trying to make is that there are certain scenes, certain scenarios where being dark-skinned is a plus. And I'm not just saying this because I'm dark-skinned myself. I'm just trying to let you know that if you go online, if you see the colorist videos about colorism in Africa, it will all be towards, oh yeah, it's good to be lighter skinned, you get more positive reactions from people, you get better job prospects, you get better you know, relationships, better prospects for money and all that sort of stuff. But me as a dark skinned person, I've never had to deal with that. You know, I've always had money, I've always had a beautiful girlfriend, I've always had these things. And I got them because I am who I am. So what about on the continent? If you're light-skinned and you're going to the continent, what happens there? I mean, are you automatically going to get the light-skin privilege like you would do in the United States of America? Yeah, that's a very good question we need to answer right now. So what are some of the negatives of being light-skinned in Africa? Well, there are a few that I'd like to bring up, just to let you guys be aware that it is actually happening. There are pro-black, pro-African organizations that look down on light-skinned people, especially from the diaspora, okay? So this is one thing which is not big, but there are B1 organizations that look down on people who are of the lighter persuasion because they are not purebloods, which I think is just sad, to be honest with you. It not only isolates them more and makes their jobs almost impossible to bring back Pan-Africanism, because you've got to remember, not everybody in Africa, not every native African is dark-skinned, right? We know that. If we look at the Khoisan down south, they are very light-skinned, and they are original Africans. So we know that. But especially in West Africa, you're going to find mainly organizations that have been adopted or they have been imported from the diaspora. You're going to find people who are just not going to get along with those of the light-skinned persuasion, because in the wider diaspora you'll find a lot of light-skinned people have been successful, especially in music, more so in music, and in and now coming up in sports as well, like that. And many of the pro-black Pan-Africanists that are coming to Africa, who have left the United States and the wider diaspora, are coming back, and they're sort of pointing them out, saying, well, who are you? You know, your granddad was white, you know, your granddad was part of the problem, and now you have a person who's coming into Africa who is inevitably going to use their privilege to get along in Africa, therefore making the problem worse, not better. So that's one thing. So another problem you're going to have, if you are light-skinned, you move to Africa, especially if you're living in, you know, a rural setting, but even if you're living in an urban setting, say in Accra, one of the big, excuse me, let's say you're living in Accra or Lagos, people can see you coming from 1,000,000 miles away. You got to remember, African Americans themselves, on average, have 25% European. I think it's 25%. I'm going to have to double check this. I will double check it and put it in the comments below and put a link to it as well. And this was off Ancestry.com, I believe. On average, African Americans have 25% European blood inside them. So normally when a native continental sees someone who is of the lighter persuasion, they will, if they are salespeople, say they are running a shop, they will feel them out first just to make sure. They will see whether they can play them for perhaps a few dollars more. And that's one of the problems that a lot of the people who are of the light skin persuasion are going to have. They're going to have this problem because there's nothing you can do about it, you know. And I would say that is absolutely more detrimental than it is a blessing. So they'll get Mzungu prices. They'll be called a Mzungu straight away. Straight away you'll be called a foreigner, you know. I mean, even I'd be called a foreigner, but they'd have to wait until they heard me speak with this bloody Mzungu accent, right? This British accent, until they call me that. So, but until then, they would make the assumption that I was native or I had moved out of there and come back, you know, because I am full-blooded African diasporan. No drop of European blood is inside me. Now, overall, light-skinned people, especially on the continent, get a warm reception. They are treated better. So what I'm saying is I'm just nitpicking basically at things that those of the lighter persuasion, those obstacles which they may come across. And as more and more of the diaspora are coming to move to Africa, and it's those really it's the strong black people, so to speak. It's those ones who are educated and who are a lot of B1s who are going to move to Africa because they see it as their freedom, basically, to not have to put up with the Mzungus in the diaspora. So they will now have the opportunity to live their lives amongst people who look like them and be a part of the majority. Most of the people in Africa, I don't like this word, once again, sub-Saharan Africa. I don't believe there's such a thing. But most of the people in sub-Saharan Africa look like this, right? They look like me. And all of a sudden, it empowers a lot of returning diasporans who have always felt like they were further marginalized because they weren't tall, because they weren't handsome, for whatever reason, and to pot they were also dark-skinned, which is looked down upon in Western society. So they used that opportunity, of course, to isolate other like returning African diasporans who are of the lighter persuasion. Now, I hate colorism, you know. I hate colorism, but I wouldn't have wanted to have been born any other way. I am so happy being who I am. I just feel so sorry for those people who live their lives through the color of their skin. I remember playing basketball in the South Bronx in New York, and there was a red guy that regularly played there during the summertime, and he used to only play in the mornings, and he used to wear a sun hat whilst he played, and he used to play like that, and he would say it out loud. He said, I can't play anymore, I can't play anymore. Why not? Why not? Oh, because the sun's coming out and I don't want to get dark-skinned. How pathetic is that? So pathetic. It's so sad. Doesn't say much for him, does it? So, to finish up, I would say, regardless of whether you're light-skinned or whether you're dark-skinned or whether you're mixed or whether you have DNA from way back when, which makes your phenotype less off that of the African, archetypical African continental, I would say that live your life, be who you are, take your negatives, take your positives, because we both have it at the end of the day. I don't live through the color of my skin. I know who I am. I'm a very strong person, and I feel like I've lived an age now, you know. I've experienced a lot, and I understand that if you continue to live your life through the opinions of others, you're going to be in trouble regardless, okay? It doesn't matter what somebody else thinks of you, what they think of your skin color. Just focus on yourself and trust me, there are always benefits to being you. So that's it from me for today. Do you ever experience colorism yourself on the continent or maybe in the diaspora? Please leave your comment or your experiences below in the comment section. It'll be well received, and I will hear you in the next one. So, ta-ra a bit.